fact, we'll need your inputs on this other story that we are tracking. A political commentator and top US pollster, Mark Mitchell, has stirred a row after saying that he wants to launch a consultancy to help major American companies de-Indianize, raising questions about what the term actually means. Mitchell of the Rasmussen Reports frequently appears on former Trump loyalist Steve Bannon's War Room. The anti-immigrant preacher criticized the presence of Indian professionals in the US tech sector. Mitchell's comments came after a discussion on the immigration and the H-1B visa program, which allows US companies to hire highly skilled foreign workers. He argued that the Silicon Valley relies too heavily on engineers from countries such as India and China, claiming that they are used as cheaper replacements for American workers. In a post on X, Mitchell said, and I quote, "Americans think big tech is out of control, and also big tech is Indian. I have never in my life wanted anything more than this, to build a new corporate consultancy helping major firms de-Indianize." In fact, joining us on the broadcast now is Aditya Vidhavan with more on this. Aditya, we are looking at a top US pollster, a US political commentator, and he is using terms such as the de-Indianizing the entire tech sector. There is obviously a lot of speculation on what he means, but what more could you tell us on that front?
Absolutely, Shivani. Indeed, a political commentator and top US pollster, Mark Mitchell, stirred a row after saying he wants to launch a consultancy to help major American companies de-Indianize, raising questions about what the term actually means. Mitchell of Rasmussen Reports frequently appears on Steve Bannon's War Room. The anti-immigrant preacher criticized the presence of Indian professionals in the US tech sector. And he said in a post on X, and I quote, "I have never in my life wanted anything more than this, to build a new corporate consultancy helping major firms de-Indianize." Mitchell's comments came after a discussion on immigration and the H-1B visa program, which allows US companies to hire highly skilled foreign workers. He argued that Silicon Valley relies too heavily on engineers from countries such as India and China, claiming that they are used as cheaper replacement for American workers. Shivani.
Absolutely. In fact, also joining us on the broadcast is Sumit Peer, political commentator. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the broadcast. A very good afternoon to you. We are looking at this term, sir, de-Indianize, that has been used by a political commentator and top US pollster, Mark Mitchell. And he is looking at de-Indianizing the American companies. What do you think actually that he means by this?
It is today an slugfest which is happening in America, because this was all started by Trump and his cronies and his minions, who had all kinds of atrocious comments being passed. Look, if you look at the tech giants and the tech biggies like Elon Musk, he has very clearly said, because of the H-1B visa and because of the Indians, the American tech industry stands and could stand where it is. The contribution is phenomenal. It's not about cheap labor or less work, pay or more money. It's basically the contribution which you bring to the table. It is the volumes which you bring to the table. It is the dedication. It is the zeal which you bring to the table. Now, if you want to make a political event out of it, want to be in the headlines, want to become something famous, it's like giving a controversial statement which gives you overnight fame, and suddenly people start talking about you. But if you look at the practicality of that, if in American IT industry could have survived without Indian talent, there was no H-1B visa. Why would you allocate 77% of the visas to Indians? It's not because of some charity. We are not, nobody's running an NGO here, because it's the skill we bring to the table. It's the dedication, it's the hard work, it's the resilience, it's the zeal, it's the technical quotient which we bring to the table. So if your industry, which is a commercial industry, which is not some kind of an NGO, could have run without it, they would have found American alternates. Now, it is not a question of Indian and American, is what works best for a setup. Now, this man is trying to get famous overnight. He's trying to make some brownie points, and he's trying to float at least a business idea. Let's start a corporate consultancy where we could de-Indianize and all that. Well, that is racial slur. It is slugfest, and that is what, unfortunately, when such things are brought into mainstream politics, but politicians like Donald Trump and his minions, This is what happens, and everybody wants to do that. कहते हैं ना हिंदी में बहती गंगा में हाथ धोना. And that is what these people are trying to do, and this is not practical, this is not feasible. And let me tell them that I'm a political commentator. India can survive with or without H1 visas. What you have to be bothered, Mr. America, is can your IT industry survive without that? And there are only two industries, by the way, left in America. One is arms and one is American tech. And very soon, it's a matter of time, within 5 to 10 years, we're going to take over both arms and tech. Then there won't be no need of H1 visas to be issued. We have to, in fact, issue work permits if you want to work here. That is where it will look like to be.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the broadcast with that insightful perspective. We are shifting focus now on